What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Leicesters. I am thrilled to be doing the score predictions once again. It's been a nice break. We are now officially at the home stretch of the season. 8 of these videos left to do. And honestly, I am really enthralled for what is going to happen in these next 8 games or so. I've managed to cover the promotion and my top 6 thoughts and predictions in the last 2 videos. Make sure you do check them out if you've not seen them. I'm going to cover relegation in the next video, so do stay tuned for more championship content coming soon as well. But today you're going to be treated to the return of the score predictions, which means you guys can also predict the championship again in the comments down below with these 12 games. And it means you can score points for the Leicesters Football Prediction League. If you look at the community post, you'll see that we have a new leader actually. It is currently Hill Football Ethan, who is currently winning the competition at this moment, but it's very close. Every single game week from now to the end of the season really matters, not only for these teams, but it's also important for you guys, just so that you can enter all of your available points for the Leicesters Football Prediction League. So let's actually get started. If you guys like what you see, please smash the like button and really just help the growth of this channel. Let's go for 50 likes. I think that'll be a great target today. Please do hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. It really help the channel. And please also share the channel too. All these things really do help. We're really nearly there at 2,500 subs at the moment. We've had a bit of a dip recently, but thank you guys as always for checking back on this channel. So let's start with the first couple of games. So a treat for this time around, they are all taking place on Friday, on Good Friday. So let's cover Bristol City, Leicester City first. Bristol City are one for very few teams, I think, in the Championship who really do not have anything to play for. I don't think if they win majority of their games, they'll get top 6. I don't think if they lose majority of their games, they'll be dragged in the relegation zone. So Bristol City, for me, are in a very peculiar position because I'd say 90% of the teams currently in the Championship actually have something meaningful to play for, and Bristol City fall into the 10% of teams that I don't really think have too much to be worried or concerned about. Leicester, on the other hand, they have got major things to be thinking about. They are going to be wanting to try and get promoted. I know they've been having a bit of conflict off the field regarding the Premier League breaching supposedly profit and sustainability rules and the repercussions of that, so they're having some off the pitch issues, but what they've got to do is make sure they don't get distracted and perform on the pitch and deal with that matter after this season. For a score prediction, I think we could see Leicester go back to winning ways. I think Leicester would have been really relieved for the international break because their form was really taking a nosedive, and if it carried on, I would have backed Ipswich and even Southampton a strong chance to overtake Leicester as well. But now with this reset, and they can now go for 8 games to potentially get promoted, I think Leicester could look at this game as a great opportunity to actually regain and resume their momentum. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory with a combination of Leicester squad, I think, being stronger, Leicester having something to play for, and Bristol City don't really have anything to play for. But I do think Bristol City will make it interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Millwall versus West Brom. Okay, so this is again a very interesting game for me. Millwall have been doing really well when Neil Harris did come in. They did suffer their first defeat since Neil Harris came in, but it was against now top of the league Leeds United, and it was a pretty comfortable defeat in the end. They didn't really offer anything in an attacking sense compared to what Leeds had in their arsenal. So with West Brom, they're currently 5th, and their form has been relatively strong still. And because that they've been able to not lose a lot of ground, they're still maintaining a good amount of distance from the rest of the competition. Now it would be the worst time for West Brom to be complacent and potentially lose points where they don't need to. Otherwise, you would see the likes of Norwich, Hull, Coventry, Preston chasing them down. So I do think West Brom will have eyes to be winning in this game. And as a prediction, it's a tough one. I could see a draw happening, but I'm actually going to back a rare 2-1 away victory for West Brom. So a rare defeat for Millwall since Neil Harris has come in, but I think West Brom's quality does stand out a little bit from a lot of the others, and I think they might be able to squeak out a win. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Cardiff versus Sunderland. Cardiff and both Sunderland, I would arguably say, don't really have anything to play for now at this point. Cardiff looked like that they were starting to creep back into the conversation of trying to get into the top 6, but they did suffer a defeat in their last game before the international break began. Had they won that game, then I could have very well have been including them in the conversation of my playoff video, which I did yesterday. Based on where they are at the moment, I think the squad is in a better place. Sunderland are all over the place for me at the moment. They are definitely a team low in confidence. They definitely are having some real key players out from that squad, which is making their squad look a little bit light in depth and quality. And as a prediction, therefore, I think Cardiff might be the one that sneak a win here. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Cardiff. I don't think there'll be many goals, but I think it's going to be Cardiff that squeak out 3 points. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Huddersfield versus Coventry. Huge gains for both sides for different reasons. So Huddersfield still find themselves within the bottom 3. They missed a glorious opportunity last game for the international break against Rotherham. Not only were they only able to draw that game, but they lost Sorba Thomas to a red card. Now, I've not looked into if they've appealed this red card. I would have assumed they've appealed the red card, I would have felt. And if they did, I would assume it's successful, but I don't know the actual outcome. So I'm doing this prediction still thinking that Sorba Thomas being available would be touch and go. Coventry, they are having a very, very strong position at the moment. They have got quite a few games to catch up on because of their involvement in the FA Cup. Oh, they really do need a win here. You know, I think now that they are approaching the final 8 games, they now need to really try and outdo their playoff rivals, and they will all be gunning for 3 points, and they both have home games. So I do think Coventry really, really need to set some pressure and to make sure that they don't lose ground. However, I do think Huddersfield with Brighton Writer, I think they are picking up the odd result, and I think they just went through a really sticky patch just at the end of this international break. But now they've hit a hard reset. I think with the games and the form that they could have, which you'll see when I cover my relegation video, I think they do have a nice run there if they can approach it right. As a prediction, I might actually go for a draw here. Something tells me that Huddersfield may score first, and maybe Coventry will have to try and fight for a draw, and they may get it. So I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think most people would be predicting for a Coventry win, but again, I don't really want to be predicting all the results that everyone's predicting. I think I've got to throw a couple of skewed ones there, and I think this one will be my nominated one for that. And I can honestly see Huddersfield getting something, so I'll go for 1-1. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Hull versus Stoke. Hull, they have got everything to play for, likewise with Coventry. They're chasing for the top 6. Stoke, likewise with Huddersfield, they are fighting the drop. Now, Stoke do have a slightly better advantage because they do have a 2-point gap from Huddersfield, but if results go against them, then immediately it is back to panic stations, and this relegation cluster is really enthralling. I think we could see a situation where the bottom 3 changes every single game week, and I've not actually bothered to count the amount of different teams we see in the bottom 3, but I think definitely now where there is really, really little separating 22nd and 16th place, I really do think that we could definitely maybe see majority of those teams enter the bottom 3 at some stage in this period of the season. So it's going to be absolutely enthralling. I'm going to love every minute of it, and I think it's going to be a very, very nervy time for Stoke, because I do think Hull are going to be the favourites here. They've gone through a bit of a drawing streak just before the international break. However, I do think now that they've hit a hard reset and they can go again, I think they'll start this off with a win. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Hull. Bit more confident with the options that they got, and I do think they could outscore Stoke here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Norwich versus Plymouth. For me, I envision goals in this game. So Ian Foster for Plymouth is under serious pressure, and I've sounded pretty harsh on him when I've been breaking him down in my last couple of videos, but at this moment in time, the biggest detriment I can give in terms of this managerial style is that Plymouth have actually lost their home form. You know, home park is no longer a feared place to get 3 points from. Now, they are away from home, and they are playing a Norwich City side where, again, likewise with Hull and Coventry, they'll be wanting that 6th place. But Norwich have got the pressure to try and keep that top 6 place, and they have played a game more than their playoff rivals as well. So if Norwich snip up, it does provide a brilliant opportunity for the other team to catch up. Now, I think, again, to reiterate my intro, I think there'll be goals, but I think if we're going to see a winner, we're going to see it in a way for Norwich. So I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to Norwich. Still not convinced of their back line, but I think Plymouth could throw a bit of a fight, but I think the attacking quality of Norwich is going to outdo them. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Preston versus Rotherham. Okay, so another playoff chaser in Preston North End, who I definitely really praised yesterday in my video. Rotherham, you know, unfortunately now, they definitely are making up the number at the moment. And it really is just thinking, when is it going to be the day when they do get relegated? I mean, we could see potentially a situation where they will be only 2 games away from being relegated. I mean, that is really early for Rotherham to be going down. And I'll be thinking this now, if they cannot pick up 3 points in their last 8 games, they actually worsen off their worst points record ever in the Championship. So surely they can find 1 win somewhere. But I don't think we'll see it here. I think Preston will be gunning for this win. They really cannot afford to drop points now at this stage if they do want to get top 6. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory. I think this game will be in a similar fashion to where Hull will play Stoke this weekend. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, this game is really difficult to predict for me. It is QPR versus Birmingham. This is a crucial game. It is the 2 teams just outside of the relegation zone playing up against each other. My goodness me. Both separated by goal difference and 1 point respectively. So if any of them lose, it would really make things quite tricky. Would a draw be beneficial here? It depends on the results of Huddersfield and Sheffield Wednesday. I really think both of these sides need a win, but obviously we can't do that in football. So which team's going to be losing out? QPR, their form going into the international break, they were winners in their last 3, but they did have some tough games though. And I think now with a good reset, I think they definitely have got the quality to kick on again. Now, Birmingham's a tough one because Birmingham had gone on a long winless run, clearly a team low in confidence. They now have Gary Rowett temporarily stepping in to try and, you know, keep Birmingham in the Championship. That's essentially what he's in for. And I think he is an experienced enough manager to do so, but would he get results straight away? That is the $1 million question. Potentially, the international break would have been the perfect time for Birmingham to try and go again, but I think it's going to be a tough one away from home here. I'm going to go actually for a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be an unhelpful result. I think QPR winning would be the most favourable prediction, but I personally think with Birmingham, with their first game back with Gary Rowett returning to Birmingham, I think they could get something, but I don't think it's going to be enough for 3 points. So I'm going to even it out for a draw, and it won't really help either one of these sides. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Sheffield Wednesday versus Swansea. So for me, this sparks a huge opportunity for Sheffield Wednesday. If they can pick up 3 points, they will already be on 41 points, and they can have a really good chance of actually being outside of the bottom 3. You know, they're going to throw a party when eventually they get out of the bottom 3, because they've been fighting for so long now since Danny Rowe has come in, and they've been really nearly there of getting some distance from the bottom 3, but the teams around them just seem to keep picking up points, which keeps pushing them back down. So this, for me, is a good opportunity for Sheffield Wednesday to finally break away from that terrible bottom 3. Swansea, I think, are in the category of Bristol City, Watford, Cardiff and Sunderland, but they really don't have anything to play for. So I think for me, I think Sheffield Wednesday have got to go for this. And as a prediction, I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sheffield Wednesday. And I think this will be a massive moment. It's a pivotal moment for Sheffield Wednesday. So I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday 2-1 win. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Southampton versus Middlesbrough. So this is the last 3 o'clock kickoff in terms of Good Friday games. So Southampton did have those 2 defeats in a row, but they did manage to end their form before the international break with back-to-back wins. And I do think now they've definitely secured playoffs. I really definitely can't see them falling below 6th place at this point. But the question is, can they utilize those games in hand to really make potentially Leicester, Leeds and Ipswich really nervous. I mean, if they win both, you know, they can go on to 79 points, 2 points behind Ipswich, only 3 points behind Leeds potentially. But it's ultimately down to that Leicester-Southampton game in hand. But here, they really ought to try and win this game. Middlesbrough, I didn't include them in my playoff video because they played one game more than Preston have, and they are 1 point behind them. But they could be a dark horse for that top 6 place, but they'll have to pick up close to maximum points in my opinion. And I think based on the run-in and based on the amount of times I repeated Middlesbrough, especially in my promotion videos, so knowing that Middlesbrough have got a pretty tough run-in from now, I don't think they will be getting into the top 6. So I don't think they're going to play in the way that they're giving up trying to get top 6 sides, because I think Michael Carrick won't allow it. So I think it's going to be an intense game for both. But as a prediction, I'm going to edge Southampton slightly for a 2-1 victory. I think they will squeak a win there, and they ought to try and keep the pressure on the top 3. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Blackburn Ipswich. I am excited and nervous for this game. I did see the reverse fixture at Portman Road. It was probably my favourite game I saw this season. It was a 4-3 victory to Ipswich. It was definitely a situation where Blackburn looked really strong going forward, and they were like right up there. They were like either just below the playoffs or actually barely in the playoffs at that time. So Blackburn have fallen away quite a fair bit. They've obviously changed managers since then to John Eustace, where they've been drawing quite a few games, you know, 4 draws in their last 5 matches, which is slowly but surely creeping them away from the bottom 3. And if they can keep that going, they could end the season on 50 points. And I say 50 points should be enough for survival as it is. So if Ipswich, for me right now, they cannot afford to drop points. They really cannot afford to drop points. They are chasing an incredible standard of Leeds and Leicester, where they both could easily reach over 100 points. And honestly, for Ipswich, there is very little room for error. And I think as away games go, it should be the easiest away game on paper compared to the other teams they've got to play away from home to the end of the season. But again, if they keep their eye off the ball and underestimate the opposition like they did in their reverse fixture, I felt, it's going to be a difficult one. And as a prediction, it's broadcasted live as well. And I don't have a lot of faith when Ipswich play live on Sky. They don't really have a great record. You know, their last televised game was that defeat against Cardiff as well. And in fact, Sky have managed to show, I believe they showed 4 defeats from Ipswich in this season, actually. The only defeat that wasn't televised, actually, for the Championship was the first game against Leeds. All the other games have been televised, so I'm a bit nervous for this. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw because I see goals, but I think Blackburn will be good enough to keep their draw consistency going. I could easily see Blackburn, you know, going 2-0 up, and then Ipswich are just going to have to try and fight back, like a bit similar to Birmingham. So I think it's going to end 2-2. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The final game to predict, guys, is Watford versus Leeds. So this is going to be Watford's first home game since Tom Cleverley has been appointed as the interim coach, probably now to the end of this season at least. Watford, like I said, they are in a cluster of 3 to 4 teams with really nothing to play for now. I don't think there'll be risk of going down. They certainly won't be getting top 6. Leeds, on the other hand, they've got huge pressure. Leicester play very, very early. Ipswich play literally just before them as well. If both of them win, then Leeds could have a really, really tough situation where they could actually find themselves in 3rd after being 1st for the entire period of the international break. So again, those top 4 sides really can't afford to drop points right now, because if any of them do, they lose ground at a really, really late stage of the season. So for me, I think Leeds will be able to regroup, and I didn't even mention that quite a few players have been involved in international duty. Ipswich, a good example with Moore and Broadhead there. It'll be interesting to see how they feel going into that game. And for Leeds' point, Ampadu was involved for Wales, but definitely more notably Dan James as well. And I'm hoping the penalty miss doesn't really affect him, because he is certainly a really special player. And a penalty miss in those high pressure situations is certainly just one of those things. And I think he'll be a professional enough and will be able to move on and take it on the stride. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Leeds. I think that for me is the most realistic prediction that we're going to get here. And based on their strong defensive record and their great goal scoring record currently, I think that's what we're going to get. And Watford might make it a bit tricky, might make it a bit frustrating for Leeds, but I think Leeds may edge out with their quality. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, these are my predictions going into this weekend. We're going to have a very short turnaround between Good Friday and Easter Monday. I think I may release the video on the Sunday. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might try and record it in the evening, but again, it's going to be very difficult for me to do. Could maybe just try and do it one day. We'll see what happens. Either Saturday or Sunday, you will see that video for the game starting on the 1st of April, would you believe? So, I'm really happy to be doing these predictions again. You guys seem to enjoy them a lot more for the other content I make. Please do make sure you support that by smashing the like button. It really does help. Please do hit the subscribe button too. It really helps the growth of this channel. And please share this channel too if you want to see more of this content in the future. All of this really helps. So, that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.